Welcome back to the Rodecast, guys. Hope you're doing well out there. I'm your host, Rod, as always. And in this video, I'm going to be doing a follow-up to the video that I did last month regarding the last trucking accident that happened in Florida and killed that car full of people who were driving right into his truck. In my last video, I talked to you about the regulations that were introduced in Florida by Ron DeSantis' government, but that was only Florida-wide. And in that video, I specifically said that I would prefer these changes and restrictions on trucking licenses, on CDLs, to be national, because in order for anything to make a difference in a country like America, one state doing it is not enough. We have to have all 50 states doing it, and that means that has to happen at the federal level. This is why the federal government is important. Federal power is important, whether we like it or not. There has to be some kind of regulations like this in order to make any kind of meaningful difference in the entire country. One state doing it is not going to improve it, because people are going to get permission from one state and they're going to cross into another, and they're going to be just as disqualified as they were before. But if we get all 50 states to disqualify the people who are not qualified to drive trucks, then it's going to make an actual difference. Okay. So in this case, we're going to be looking at some very important barriers to entry that have been introduced by Sean Duffy, who's the transportation secretary, that are going to make a big difference, because it's going to disincentivize businesses from hiring illegals, and it's going to make it difficult for the illegals themselves to get CDLs, which means they will not be able to get them as easily as they are now. That opens up the space for American citizens who are already here and need trucking jobs to get those jobs instead of illegals. And when you're the government, this is the best way to change things, by introducing barriers to entry to a certain sector so that not everybody can apply. Specifically with this legislation, they are targeting California, because California has been issuing CDLs to illegal aliens like candy, and it's led to a lot of problems for the rest of the country.
The Department of Transportation is instituting emergency restrictions on non-citizen truck drivers. The feds are pointing to a series of fatal crashes in California. And the Trump administration also says that Colorado's trucking regulations are being looked at, and that, quote, enforcement action is coming. The new national restrictions target what are called non-domiciled commercial driver's licenses. It's a class of CDL for drivers who are from outside the U.S., Canada, and Mexico. Colorado already requires those drivers to have foreign passports and authorization to work in the U.S. Now, the feds will require those drivers to have specific work visas and go through annual renewals and citizenship checks. States have been ordered to stop handing out non-domiciled licenses until they comply with new standards. Greg Fulton, head of the Colorado Motor Carriers Association, tells us he sees this as a positive step.
If you have folks that are kind of under the radar screen, there isn't the ability to actually track or ensure that they may be meeting the standards. I think we're going to come out of this, though, with a safer situation out there.
Colorado does not have a great history with enforcing regulations on truck drivers. We reported on a number of high-profile crashes where drivers or their employers were operating without licenses altogether. The deadly crash on 285 near Bailey last June. Driver in that case was in the country without authorization, didn't have a CDL.
So this is exactly what I'm talking about. So what's been happening under many different presidents, mostly Democratic, is that they think it's so noble to give these disgusting illegal aliens, these illegal immigrants, American jobs. And they've been trying to use the government to do that as much as possible. That's why California was allowed to do this before. Now they're cracking down on California funding, which Sean Duffy will explain here in a second. But the reason they do this is because they think it's morally noble to sacrifice our own citizens to help out foreigners. For some reason, they think this is so noble. That's what leads to all these protesters and these lawmakers to do all the things that they do, because they think it's so noble to sacrifice American people for a bunch of foreigners that they don't even know. They think that's the most morally noble thing ever. Okay, most people are doing this. When I was on the left, when I was a progressive, I actually believed this in this open borders mentality, that we have to help out the world. Most people are not being paid to do what they're doing, and people need to stop saying that about everything. Everybody you don't agree with is not being paid. Okay, some people actually hold these open borders ideologies. I did when I was on the left. Okay, I can tell you from my personal experience. Nobody was paying me. I honestly believed in what I believed in. I don't think you should call everybody you don't agree with paid. Okay, that's very rude, and this This is exactly what the left did to the Tea Party when they were coming up. They called it AstroTurf. Everybody on the left was saying, oh, the Tea Party is just, being paid by billionaires. No, people in the Tea Party actually believed honestly in what they were saying. Okay, you might not agree with them, but please stop saying everybody you don't agree with is paid. It's fundamentally denying the beliefs of the people in question, who are your fellow Americans, who no matter how much we hate them. And I can't stand Antifa and all these people, but most of them are not being paid. They actually believe in caring about foreigners more than their own people. They think it's so great because America's racist and wrong and evil, and white people especially are evil. And so it's so wonderful and noble to care about people who are not white and not American. That's their ideology. Okay, that's kind of what I believe when I was on the left. Now, getting back to this policy from the federal government is now focusing on giving jobs to American truck drivers who want to do the job, who are dedicated, instead of giving it to illegals like this who cause crashes, who don't speak English, who don't care about America, who are not citizens at all, and didn't even have a CDL, by the way. This one didn't even have a CDL, so they didn't even bother cheating to get a CDL. They just drove without any licenses. So they're trying to crack down on things like this. But even most of the drivers who drive the illegals, they do have CDL. Somehow they're able to come by a CDL. Okay, this law mostly targets that and raises the barriers of entry so that the companies have now an incentive to comply with state laws that are being forced by the federal government into compliance with regulations forcing everybody to be legally authorized to be here, meaning they have to have visas, they have to pay a lot of money, which raises the barriers of entry and basically lowers the number of illegals in the CDL marketplace and raises the ability for actual Americans to join the workforce.
There are changes coming to commercial driver's license regulations. Mike Emanuel explains what's new.
The process for issuing these licenses is absolutely 100% broken. It has become a threat to public safety.
The Transportation Department will immediately tighten up the requirements for non-citizens trying to get special licenses to operate large or heavy vehicles in the U.S. Under the new rules, non-citizens will not be eligible for a commercial driver's license or CDL unless they get a costly employment-based visa and undergo mandatory federal immigration status checks.
Get into compliance now, or we'll pull funding and we'll force you into compliance. Nowhere in the country have we found a more egregious licensing situation than in the state of California.
If California doesn't come up with a plan to comply in 30 days, the Trump administration is threatening to withhold federal highway funds starting at $160 million. Secretary Duffy says an ongoing nationwide audit revealed these licenses were improperly issued in several other states.
Consider this your notice. Fix your system. Fix your rules. Comply with the law.
With the holiday shopping season around the corner, some are worried these changes will impact the movement of goods.
We have a lot of drivers who are U.S. citizens who are ready and willing and able to take these loads. We feel very confident that there won't be disruptions in the supply chain.
These changes come after 3 fatal crashes this year in Florida, Texas, and Alabama. Officials say these wrecks were caused by immigrant truck drivers who never should have received licenses.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. And even if there are disruptions, I don't mind that because safety comes first for me. I don't care. Everything being for money is what's ruined America. We have let go of so many standards because the capitalist class wanted to make money. Okay, greedy corporations and greedy people overall want to make money. That's why we have mass migration. That's why we have let in the third world into our country to destroy our country and our Anglo-Saxon heritage. Okay, sometimes the heritage of this country and preserving our citizenry and our ways of life have to be put above money. And that's what the idiots on the right wing have to realize, because it's been the Republicans who have teamed up with the globalists to destroy America. Okay, by doing this mass immigration thing, by doing these visas, all this stuff, bringing in all these foreigners, these third world animals who don't belong here, who cannot live our way of life and puts our women in danger and other people. All of this has happened because of the love of money and the greed that's corrupting this country of certain people. I don't give a damn about money. Okay, I'm ready to face harsh economic times. My ancestors have survived since the 1600s in this land, and they will survive, and I will survive just like they will. We will be fine with economic problems. We've had them forever. Every country has them. But the country itself must survive. That has to come first. Our ways, our culture must be preserved. Otherwise, there's no point in having any kind of economic success. I'm not convinced with the money argument with any of this stuff. Okay, that's their number one argument when it comes to illegal immigration. We must let the illegals invade our country so we can make money off of it. Who's making money? I'm not making any money. Are you making money? That's the question you should ask these people when they say it. Which illegal gave anything to you? And the answer is none. A whole bunch of corporations are making money by underpaying Americans or not hiring Americans at all and hiring these illegals. That's the only money I see being made. So I don't give a damn. I'm not convinced with the damn economic argument. I don't care how much it hurts the economy. We have to do the right thing for the American citizens and secure our safety first. That's what comes before everything else, at least for me. All of you have to make up your own minds. What's more important to you, American lives or making money? Because that's ultimately the question at the end of the day. And we'll see what kind of decision Trump makes. So far, he's chosen safety. That's good. But he's a money guy, so I have very big fears about what Trump will do, because money is very important to him and has been his whole life. But there are people around him who value Americans and our safety more, and that's the reason that these good decisions are being made. And whenever good decisions for America are made by any politician, I always give them credit. And this is a great example of that. So good job, Trump, on this one. And Sean Duffy. And that's all I got to say for this video. Thank you so much for watching, as always, and I'll see you guys in my next one.